Okay, my name is Loretta Dunne. I'm an astronomer at the University of Canterbury. I moved to New Zealand about 2 years ago from the UK. I study galaxies. I tend to work in a part of the electromagnetic spectrum which isn't seen with visible light. So I don't do optical astronomy, I do what's called far infrared astronomy. And the far infrared part of the spectrum is out there beyond the infrared. So we've got visible light, all the colours that you see, and if you go to the red part of the spectrum, we're looking at the longest wavelength part of visible light. Now, if you go out a bit further, a bit longer in wavelength, you get to infrared radiation, which we kind of typically perceive as heat. If we go a little bit further again, we get to even longer wavelengths, and we come to a part of the spectrum where really cold objects emit radiation. So imagine we had a camera that was able to detect thermal infrared radiation. What would happen is if you went into a dark room or a place which was filled with smoke, you'd be able to use such a camera to see the emission from warm bodies, such as like people. This is how firefighters find people in rooms full of smoke and stuff. So that's kind of thermal infrared imaging, and what we do with our astronomy is similar to that, but we're looking for things much, much colder than people. We're actually looking at sort of clouds of gas and dust in interstellar space, which are down at around 20 degrees, 30 degrees above absolute zero. It's about finding new stuff out, I guess. When I started my PhD, I actually had the choice of doing a job working for the Met Service in the UK, which was looking at the meteorology and working with climate change models and stuff. And I could either do that or I could do a PhD. And I was a bit torn. I thought, it might be nice to go and earn some money, but my potential supervisor said, but you get to go to Hawaii if you do my PhD. And I thought, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. I can always go and work for the Met Service later, but I'll do a PhD first. But I found that action of having a project to work on for 3 years, which was really open-ended, and because I was using an instrument which was quite revolutionary, and it was the first camera in this part of the spectrum. It was the first time we could actually take pictures of galaxies in the far infrared from the ground. It was such an exciting time to work in that field. It was really the start of a whole new field in astronomy. And the excitement and the challenge of learning new things and discovering things that people hadn't discovered before was really exciting, and the independence you had from having your own ideas and then following them up rather than doing a job where you have to do what you were told every day. I really enjoyed that, and that's why I still enjoy. Well, I guess I started as probably many budding scientists do. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, and so I wrote to NASA when I was about 12 and asked them how could I be an astronaut, and they told me you should go to university and you should learn to fly a plane and you should become an American and all these kinds of things. So I did that kind of, I went and did astronomy and I learned to fly a plane, and I didn't go to America in the end. But yeah, I just had a fascination with space from a really early age, and with the universe. And I grew up in the middle of Liverpool, which is a big city in the UK, and so you couldn't really see very much if you looked up at night. There was just street lights everywhere. So I couldn't really see the night sky, but I remember sitting out in front of the house with my dad at sort of 4 in the morning trying to watch a meteorite shower and stuff like that. So I had a fascination for it, even though I didn't get any sort of direct exposure to real astronomy until much later on. And yeah, I thought, well, to further that interest, I should go and study astronomy for my degree. So I went to Cardiff University, where I could take an astrophysics degree and join a hang gliding club, and I think it was the only place in Britain where you could do both. And after I did a 3-year fellowship, I applied for a lecturing job at Nottingham University, and to my great surprise I got that job. So I moved to Nottingham, where I spent the next sort of 7 years doing research and teaching at Nottingham. And from there, I guess I visited New Zealand quite a few times on holiday, and I decided if the chance ever came up to move to New Zealand, I'd definitely jump at it. And so when in 2010, I think there was an advert for an astronomy position here, myself and my husband, Steve Maddox, both applied for it. And we now share a job, which is great. This is a little model of the James Clerk Maxwell telescope, which is a telescope I used to use a lot for my PhD, which sits on top of an extinct volcano at 14,000 feet in Hawaii called Mauna Kea.